Something is happening in America's heartland. A quiet crisis, not in our cities but in the vast fields of the Midwest. For generations the U.S. was the king of corn, feeding the world and powering our economy. Now that era is ending, fast. U.S. corn exports have collapsed by 94%. Not a dip, a free fall. Ships that once carried billions of bushels now sit idle. Grain elevators are full, with nowhere for the harvest to go. This isn't just a farmer's problem, it's a national economic shock. Our role as a global food supplier is in question, and the ripple effects touch everything from steak prices to your morning cereal. The world once relied on the abundance of the American farmer. Now that foundation has crumbled. The collapse signals a vulnerability few thought possible. How did this happen? The answers are complex. Climate, competition, and geopolitics all play a part. We traveled to the Corn Belt to hear from those on the front lines, farmers, economists, and families facing an uncertain future. Their stories are ones of shock, disbelief, and fear for what comes next. The silent fields of today could become barren fields of tomorrow. This is a wake-up call. The world is changing faster than we imagined. The fall of American corn affects us all. How does a titan fall? The collapse of U.S. corn exports was a perfect storm. First, the weather-historic droughts, then floods, devastated yields and shattered global confidence in American reliability. Next, the strong U.S. dollar made our corn expensive abroad. Buyers turned to Brazil or Argentina, saving up to 20%. In a market driven by thin margins, that price gap was everything. Meanwhile, Brazil invested in infrastructure and crop science, becoming the preferred supplier. They offered lower prices, consistent supply, and long-term contracts. America went from the only major player to just one of many, and our rivals played smarter. Geopolitics also shifted. Trade disputes and new alliances pushed buyers to diversify away from the U.S. Countries that once depended on us now have a portfolio of suppliers. It's a strategic move. No one wants to rely on a single source. The result? America's dominance evaporated almost overnight. Our corn became a luxury, not a staple. The world's food security model has changed, and we're no longer at the center. The collapse wasn't one event, it was years of warning signs ignored. Now we're paying the price. The question is, can we adapt before it's too late? Or will we watch our agricultural legacy slip away? This isn't just about numbers. It's about people. John Peterson, a fourth-generation Iowa farmer, stares at full silos and empty order books. His family's legacy is at risk. Local towns feel the pain, dealerships lay off staff, diners sit empty, and the economic engine of rural America has stalled. Farming is more than a job, it's an identity. Now farmers feel abandoned by a system they trusted. Younger farmers, deep in debt, face a future their parents never imagined. We met a young woman who returned to her family's farm, only to spend her days negotiating with bankers instead of innovating. The psychological toll is immense. Depression, anxiety, and a sense of betrayal run deep. Communities built on agriculture are struggling to survive. The pride of feeding the world has been replaced by uncertainty and fear. Generational conversations are tough. Will the next generation even want to farm? The future of American farming is now a question mark. The crisis is forcing families to make impossible choices. The heartland's silence speaks volumes. If nothing changes, the legacy of American farming could end here. The stakes have never been higher. The world still needs corn, and others have rushed in. Brazil is now the dominant force, producing 2 massive harvests a year and offering steady year-round supply. Argentina and Ukraine have also ramped up exports, undercutting U.S. prices. These countries seized the moment, offering better deals and long-term security. Infrastructure is key. Brazil invested billions in ports and railways, moving grain efficiently to global buyers. Meanwhile, U.S. infrastructure, like the Mississippi's aging locks, lags behind. Buyers look at total cost, not just price. Our rivals deliver both value and reliability. The world's corn trade routes have been redrawn. Formerly loyal customers now sign multi-year deals with Brazil and Argentina. China, the largest importer, has diversified away from the U.S., investing in Africa and South America. These new relationships are strategic and long-term. Even if U.S. prices drop, lost customers may not return. The global market has moved on. America's agricultural dominance is no longer guaranteed. The shift is permanent, and the competition is only getting stronger. The corn collapse ripples through the U.S. economy. and you feel it, even if you don't know it. Farmers get record low prices, but grocery bills don't drop. Corn is just one part of the food cost. Livestock producers briefly benefit from cheap feed, but global buyers now source both corn and meat elsewhere. American ranchers face oversupply at home and shrinking export markets. The result, falling prices, job losses, and instability across the livestock industry. The impact spreads. Truckers, ethanol workers, seed companies, and mechanics all feel the strain. Ethanol plants run at capacity for now, but the long-term outlook is grim if farms go under. Our agricultural model, built on exports, has become a weakness. We produce far more corn than we can use domestically. Storage is expensive and temporary. The surplus has nowhere to go. The crisis exposes a vulnerability in our food system. It's time to ask, what should we grow and why? Should we diversify crops or invest in new uses for corn, like bioplastics? The old model is broken, and the consequences reach from farm to factory to your dinner table. America must rethink its agricultural future, fast. America's corn industry stands at a crossroads. One path: find new domestic uses for surplus corn, like bioplastics and industrial products. Researchers are racing to make corn-based plastics cost competitive, but it's a long road. Another option: biofuels, especially sustainable aviation fuel. If airlines switch, it could create huge new demand, but scaling up requires massive investment and faces environmental scrutiny. Reclaiming export markets means aggressive trade deals, better financing, and marketing U.S. quality. We must also modernize our infrastructure, ports, rails, rivers, to compete globally. Some call for a radical shift: move away from corn monoculture, diversify crops, and restore soil health. This transition is tough for farmers, but may be essential for resilience. The crisis could be a catalyst for change, or a warning ignored. America must choose: adapt or fall further behind. The future of our fields depends on bold action now. The next chapter is unwritten. The Great Corn Collapse is more than a cautionary tale, it's the end of an era. For generations, America was the world's breadbasket. That certainty is gone. A 94% export drop is a symptom of a world in flux, with new powers rising. We were outmaneuvered while others innovated and built new alliances. This is a wake-up call for the nation. In a multipolar world, complacency is fatal. Yet crisis brings opportunity to rebuild, diversify, and lead in new ways. We can invest in infrastructure, pioneer biofuels and bioplastics, and empower farmers for a new green revolution. The pain in the heartland is real, but American resilience runs deep. Farmers have survived droughts and depressions before; they can adapt again. Our place in the world isn't a birthright, it must be earned every day. The world will always need food and innovation. Will America rise to the challenge or cede its leadership? The future of our fields and our global role hangs in the balance.